Hi everyone, Holly here, and in this video I'll be taking you through the painting process of my new painting behind me, which is titled Shenanigans at Flaggie's. Let's go! So as some of you may know, 6 months ago I moved to the beautiful coastal town of Port Macquarie here in Australia. And to say that this new environment has had a significant impact on my art is an understatement for sure. The coastline where I live is just stunning. There's so many breathtaking, beautiful views, and I just love it. So of course it's going to come out in my artwork. So there's a section of the headland that the locals call Flaggie's. It's otherwise known as Flagstaff Lookout. And from the top you can see across Town Beach, which is where we swim and surf every day. And I knew I wanted to use this shot in a painting, but was waiting for the right idea to form in my brain. And eventually an idea spilled out onto my sketchbook in the form of a little baby thumbnail, and I was off to the races. So I sketched out my initial idea using a General's white charcoal pencil onto a primed wooden panel, and I started the underpainting using acrylic paint. So while working in the acrylics, I painted the larger panels first, then I drew in the hanging objects over the top, so I didn't have to paint around the objects twice. So I kept my reference photo handy, and I continuously checked my hue, values and chroma, as I want to portray my reference image as accurately as I can. So although I call myself an imaginative realism artist, I still want to portray things in a realistic manner because I still want people to understand what they're looking at. What I particularly like about that genre is that whatever you're painting, you could paint it any colour and it would still work. It's the values that are the important element to focus on when painting realism. So it's the values that are my main priority, as these are what depict realism more so than hue or chroma. At this stage I'm painting in my initial ideas from my sketchbook. Even after I switch to oil, I'm not afraid to add something in that might aid the viewer in telling a more elaborate story. As long as you follow the fat over lean rule to the best of your ability, you should be fine when you're adding in new objects to your scene. So I paint the entire underlayer in acrylic. I used to do that in colour, and I've recently just switched to using black and white because it helps me to establish those really important values, especially the darker values. Anything that is in the foreground, I want it to have extremely dark shadows. Not even shadows. It needs to be dark. It needs to have that whole range from 0 to 10 on the value scale. You know, if there's something in the foreground that is incredibly dark, I'm going to use that 0, which is completely black on the value scale. So once I've painted in my underpainting in acrylic using just black and white in order to establish correct values, then I switch to oils, and it's just a matter of repainting everything again in oils in no particular order, and being sure to consider your main focal point and how the edges might look in this imaginary scene. So obviously objects further away will appear out of focus and be less chromatic. Objects closest to us will be in sharp focus. However, this is an imaginary scene, and if you have an object that you don't want to be included in the main focal point, then painting in less detail and softening the edges will help you achieve this. If you're struggling to create realism in your paintings, consider coming up with a list of attributes that you wish to see in your work. For instance, do I have a main focal point? Do I want one? How am I treating the edges? Could I add more details for a higher degree of realism? Would that involve adjusting the values? As the artist, you can tweak and adjust all of these attributes however you wish. Don't like something, wipe it off or paint over it. And don't forget to transfer anything you've learnt from one painting to the next in order to continuously expand your skill set. The only person you should be comparing yourself to when you're painting is you. Looking back at past paintings is the best way to gauge your own painting progress. So keep working at your craft and you'll be blown away by the improvements you can make. If you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed this video of my painting process. You can find all of my available artwork at www.hollyhartwell.com.au. You could also become a patron. The link to Patreon is in the description below, along with all my other social media sites. I had planned on getting this video out before Christmas, but I ended up taking a couple of weeks off to recharge. So I hope everyone had a wonderful Chrissy and you've had a great start to 2025. A shout out to anyone who worked over the Christmas and New Year break, especially in the hospitality or retail sectors. You guys are awesome. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Take care and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.